And we're back. 5-9 Podcasts. I am happy to be back. Took a little bit of a social media detox and highly recommend it. When you guys get a chance, be able to check out my mom's uh, podcast. It's called What Are We Eating Tonight by Chef Carmela. You should guys check it out. It's very, very cool. Um, so, yeah, let's get into it. I took a little break. Um, And basically, in this business, just speaking for myself, how I'm getting by is um, I'm working like two, sometimes three jobs a day, working overtime. Um, I've been working, various, I've been working security, and so I've been doing that, um, and still, doing other things, writing and being creative and um, my last job was quite some time ago. Probably, I don't know, back in, see, it's October. Well, it's in September now. So let's see, probably say back in July, I probably worked, um, let, probably July, June, July. Yeah. So that was probably the last time I worked. And, it was a good job. They were like, I will bring you back. I never got called back, and before that, I got one job where, I got paid an IOU pretty much. Um, they were late paying everybody, and this film that I worked on is, there's no clear release date for this film. Um, so yeah, I don't know if you guys know or not, but Marvel, uh, films in Georgia mostly. And if they have picked up and they relocated to the UK because major Marvel films, Doomsday and Avengers: Secret Wars, are going to be shooting, and those, usually um, are filmed on the sound stages, in Georgia. Tyler Perry has a huge presence in Georgia, and I would feel that he's primarily kind of the biggest thing in the South right now. But Tyler Perry Studios, but you know, right now, it was a guy in my apartment. He was a cinematographer. He moved his wife and kids, and he told me he was moving to Georgia. I try to keep in touch with him. I really, haven't been able to, to keep in touch. But people are making these huge moves. Moving from California to Georgia, and only, to find that, you know, a lot of the work is dried up. It's not just here. Um, all over the country pretty much. You can even hear, even to a lesser degree, like this is not related. Vegas is having a bit of a tourist slump because people aren't akin to spend money. Um, the economy, I strongly suggest, people save their money and, probably put off, buying that PS5 or going on trips or whatever the case may be. Um, I just have a very funny feeling that it's going to get really rough. Um, so so the state of of the business is really like there was talk of having incentives and that would jumpstart something. I'm just telling you on the ground, I don't see it. I don't see it, and the few productions that are filming, which I from what I've seen, well, in my opinion, uh, I will say that it's mostly like honestly the streamers are pretty much you know uh, filming shows. Um, Commercials don't seem to be as popping as they were before. Um, I'd say it's not a very good time. Because I had a buddy I totally forgot. I worked on a film called Note, and and that was 4 years ago. Um, And it's crazy how 4 years ago, um, a lot has happened between, I went on, I got in the union, I worked on television shows and stuff like that. But um, I think it kind of went from, work being plentiful to like it became more and more niche and more so who you know. Um, for example, like at this point, there are guys who have hired me, the best boys who are now uh, rigging, they're on the rigging crews now. So a lot of the people who hired me, um, are, have become day players. So, and I noticed, again, I'm not going to name any names, but I have noticed that certain people, um, who are in the right cliques, um, if there's work to be worked, those people are working. Um, it seems like it's very interesting because it's like, not only do you have to have the competency and the skill to do the work, and the hustle and drive and ambition, but it's like as well as the availability. Um, it's still kind of like, you know, everybody's trying to eat, and do I want to let my homeboy eat versus let somebody else? I don't really know. Um, and like I said, I've discussed this in previous podcasts. I interviewed, various set lighting technicians, and um, so if I was, because I think it was a time where I was open to work. I would text various people I know in the business, and oftentimes, I would get a reply, or sometimes I don't get any reply now. Like some guys are just like, you know, they're working, but they don't seem to want to like communicate, or it's very cold. People say, that it's a very tough and difficult business, but you know, what I'm starting to notice is like, yeah, it started off, when everyone's kind of eating, when there's still work to be worked, it was like, yeah, you can kind of get by. Um, but now it's like, even, it's so infrequent, and, I mean, everyone's trying to pay their bills, and that sort of thing. Um, I've totally, pivoted and doubled down. Like, um, first time, I applied, um, to, work with the Department of Corrections to be a corrections officer to go work in the state prisons. So I'm in the process of that, you know, um, because they, quite frankly, they pay well, and so I'm choosing to just, you know, um, change my skills. If it wasn't that, I might try to get my CDL, or um, you know, maybe study HVAC, you know, learn heating, cooling, and that sort of thing. Um, because there comes a time where it's like, you know, there's the whole follow your passion, and then you have to be a responsible adult, you know, trying to make making an income and paying your bills and that sort of thing. Um, you know, so it's definitely, they say, you have to make more money. Um, and I would say the skills that I've learned, working um, in the film industry, definitely, they're I would say some of them are transferable. Um, you know, being open, and with the flow, and just getting things done. So yeah, no, I think those are definitely good skills I've picked up. Um, what I do personally, I work. I work. Well, I'd rather not talk about too much. I mean, I work security, and I think I'll just leave it at that. But um, so yeah. But another thing I want to mention is that um, AI. AI has the AI bubble. You know, there's a big thing where AI is going to be, you know, taking people's jobs and that sort of thing. And I feel that the AI has been similar to the sort of the dot com, um, where in the dot com era there were so many companies. I think this was in the 90s. There were so many companies that were booming and coming, and then of course when the dot com era crashed, or burst, there were only like your Googles, your Yahoos. I remember. Everybody remember all the web.com. Well, so like there was a consolidation. So because right now, everybody's chasing AI. There's so many like there's key players. Nvidia is a big one. They build the chips that are going to be used. Another one is Amazon and Metaverse, um, Google, um, and a lot of the there's a big thing. Data centers are going to be big. Um, Cooling systems to cool the data centers are going to be big. Um, Robotics. Um, I am invested in some of these companies, but specifically, what's going to happen because all these companies are pouring millions and millions of dollars, right, into this whole thing. But the problem I think that is going to happen is that only a few are going to be profitable. So the ones that aren't profitable are going to go away. And I think what's going to happen is, it's going to consolidate to like maybe three. Like AI isn't going to go away, but I think um, for I think there's going to be a consolidation, and I think that's when people talk about recession, and you know, so a lot of people at these companies are pouring these millions of dollars, and they realize that once they have invested and that they're not getting what they put in back, I think there's going to be a major um, sort of correction, and I think that's what they're talking about. I don't know, it may happen. Um, it may happen next year or year, but there's going to be a correction of some kind. Um, let's see. So let's see. I got some comments. How are the trenches treating you? Well, as about as well. The background that you see right there pretty much says it all. I mean, we're we're running, gunning, shooting, and surviving. That's how the trenches are treating me. Um, let's see. AI has a place in the world, but it's too hindered on a Icarus or Pandora's box complex. Basically, I feel society should be used. I feel society should be using it as a tool and treating it like a tool rather than a weapon. I totally agree. Sort of certain things like knowledge-based jobs, I think, are definitely going to be challenged. Um, but yes, so definitely AI is is for sure going to be a thing, especially when it comes to like knowledge-based jobs, accounting and things, thinking jobs. I feel that they're going to be um, AI is gonna have a place for that, and I think being able to leverage and use it is definitely going to be a way. I think being able to type in prompts, I think that's going to be a very marketable skill. Or being able to teach AI to other people, I think is going to be a big thing too. Um, so yeah, so you know, I've been away for a bit. I'm going to get back into it, and I got some things to talk about. We got Halloween coming up, and I'm really hooked on Alien Earth. I love what they're doing with the alien xenomorph and everything. But yeah, so you got any questions or whatever, hit me up. Take care. Peace.